The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. Released April 13th, 2024. Directed by Guy Ritchie. Written by Paul Tomasi, Eric Johnson, and Arash Amel. Starring Henry Cavill, Alan Ritchson, and Alex Pettyfer. Rotten Tomatoes score. No reviews at time of writing. Metacritic. No reviews at time of writing. IMDb. No reviews at time of writing. Welcome back to Real Reviews like always. I am your host, Lee. Today we are talking about The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. This is another one of those movies where I just saw a trailer and shrugged as I decided to see it, and yet again it was pretty dang enjoyable. But let's talk about it. Let's get some apt comparisons out of the way. Inglourious Basterds, and James Bond being at the top of that list. The first comparison is pretty on the nose. If you watch this movie, or even the trailer for it, you will get that feeling. The second, on the other hand, was a feeling I had throughout the movie. I kept going, this feels like Bond, or maybe Bourne, but it doesn't have a lot of the sleek spy stuff. As it turns out, this movie is at least on some level based on true events, or the interpretation of files and logs. Why does this matter? Well, a character in this movie is Ian Fleming, who worked with British intelligence in World War II, and more notably for our purposes wrote James Bond. And it is believed that Gus March-Phillips, our main character, was the basis for Bond. But why does this matter? That means that Guy Ritchie and Henry Cavill understood the assignment with that character. The acting is nothing to write home about if we are being honest. Cavill is fun and charismatic, with a good range during his scenes. Isa Gonzalez comes off as a sly and smart femme fatale. Til Schweiger is a good and imposing bad guy. He really seems to get into it, which can be a touch uncomfortable depending on the person. But this movie has so many actors across three narratives that honestly most of them just can't put in a noteworthy performance because they don't spend enough time on screen to do so. The story falls vaguely into the same category as well as being mostly unremarkable, and that is because it is a very standard spy/war movie that involves the super-secret mission. You will see all of the tropes from every other movie that is similar. The intriguing thing here is that they were all real people. One of the highlights of this movie for me is the gunplay, and how it reflects these characters being called experts. They waste very few shots, you see them reload, and switch weapons as needed. The choreography is just fun to watch. Alan Ritchson is probably the most entertaining to watch in this fashion, as he uses the widest variety of weapons. Each character falls into their roles pretty quickly, and it all flows pretty cleanly from scene to scene. I think probably the best part of this movie is the pacing. The two primary stories break and give space for the next one to work, and then occasionally it kicks over to the third story just long enough to make the time changes or resets feel fine. I was never wondering when it would be over, or even bored with any scene that they had on screen. The one thing that I found fascinating is that Guy Ritchie has this signature chase scene camera method that everyone just nods and agrees that is what you expect in one of his movies. No chases, no crazy camera work. In fact, there are just moments where the camera sits there and lets everything play out. So at time of writing, there are 0 reviews out for this movie, not on Google, IMDb, Metacritic, or Rotten Tomatoes. Update: I waited until the next morning after seeing the movie, still no reviews. The only thing that is available is that 93% of Google users enjoyed the movie. I hope that doesn't bode poorly for this movie because it is pretty fun. I think Guy Ritchie kinda nailed it with directing, and the writers really made it feel like you didn't miss any important bits of a real World War II story. I would give this movie a 7 out of 10 and would recommend it, especially if you are interested in stories from that era of history. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, make sure to like and subscribe. Next week is AI reviews. Until next time.